Following the strike on Iran, President Trump quickly turned his attention back to his economic agenda, writing on Truth Social. Great unity in the Republican Party, perhaps unity like we've never seen before. Now let's get the great, big, beautiful bill done. Our country is doing great. MAGA joining us now, White House National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett. And because of the news over the weekend, Kevin, I guess before we talk about the big, beautiful bill in a vacuum, just talk about it. Is there any connection, relationship, influence, effect that the weekend's events would have? Because I could come up with some if I was really pressed to on the big, beautiful bill and the unity of the Republican Party.
Right. Well, so far, the American actions have been extremely targeted and have not really disrupted global oil markets. If you look at the excess reserves that oil-producing countries have around the world, it's maybe about 3 times as big as total Iranian production. And so there's a lot of room to adjust should we need to. And right now, that's, it's an open question, but it seems like the targeted move by the president has the desired effect of ending the nuclear program without leading to much oil disruption. But again, if the Iranians decide to do something a little more aggressive, then there's a heck of a lot of excess reserve out there.
And I'm not implying that the president didn't have a firm hold on the Republican Party and members in the Senate and the House prior to that. But, we don't know on the ground exactly what happened in Iran yet and how successful. It looks very successful at this point, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I would almost think that could make the president, I don't know, even have more ability to get wayward members in line on this bill, perhaps.
Well, let's just put it this way, that we spent last week speaking with members of the Senate, members of the House. I'm doing a dinner talk tonight, and I think that we're highly confident that we have the votes to get it through the Senate, through the House, and get it signed by the 4th of July. And highly confident is really based on person-to-person conversations. I know that there's some people that are still holding out for this or for that, but I think the president is highly confident that we're going to pass this bill and we're going to pass it by the 4th of July.
Well, that's right. I guess the devil's in the details. So do you get the SALT people in the House? Do they vote yes, even if there's no increase in the SALT cap? Do you get some of the more moderate senators to go with a Medicaid, with Medicaid provisions that are stricter, or I don't know, they cut more from Medicaid than the House plan? How do you do that? How do you wrangle all the cats?
Well, what's going to happen? You might recall right at the beginning of this that I think we might have even announced it right here on Squawk in January. The president said that we're going to follow the Big Six design that he used the last time to get the tax bill, where the Treasury Secretary and I meet with the Majority Leader, the Speaker of the House, and the heads of the 2 committees, and we meet regularly, a little bit more than every 2 weeks, and have a collegial, off-the-record discussion about what's it going to take to make this bill pass. I think we've built the social network, the relationships between the House and the Senate that we need so that everybody can figure out, okay, let's get something through the Senate that we can pass in the House, and they're negotiating kind of as one body as they do that. And I think that it is the kind of unity I've never seen before in Washington, and a great credit to really the organizational design, the deal-making design of President Trump.
If you had to guess, Kevin, you think it would be, when it's all said and done, will it take it further, some of the deficit reduction, or not reduction, but some of the spending cuts? Would it be more like the Senate version when it's finally done, or more like the House didn't seem to have quite the bite that the Senate is going to have? Who do you need to convince? Who's going to be a tougher sell, the Senate or the House?
We need to be where they all agree, and you're right to cover it that way, Joe, that they're working it out. They're working it out with a really, really fast time frame. I'm expecting that we're going to see the final deal by midweek and perhaps see it voted out of the Senate this week. and then be on path for 4th of July. But yeah, right now we're respecting the legislative process. The president's made clear what his red lines are, like no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and so on, making his tax cuts permanent. But around the edges, of course, the SALT people and a few other people are going to have to, get a little bit of what they want in order to get the votes that we need to pass. But we're very confident that that process is working very collegially, collaboratively, and moving forward quickly.
Hey, Kevin, I wanted to sort of pivot back to the tariff trade discussions that the administration is having with other countries, specifically, though, China, and how you think the situation with Iran impacts that, given that they have been allied or at least partnered economically on that front, and also the Taiwan situation, and how you think this either says something or doesn't say anything about where we stand.
I'm not a foreign policy expert, Aaron, and the thing I can say is that we've got Secretary Bessent and Jameson Greer have been in constant contact with the Chinese, looking at getting the rare earths and the magnets to the people in the U.S. that need them so that we don't have a disruption in the U.S. supply chain. And we've had no communication from the Chinese that suggests that the deal that we had on the table, both in London and Geneva, is off the table. And so it looks like they're spectators right now, and that they're keeping their word as well as they ever do, I suppose. But yes, they're agreeing to the Geneva and London agreement still.
I don't like that other Sorkin, honestly, Pass. I like Andrew much more than the Aaron character.
Kevin and I have actually known each other.
I know. It's easy to forget. It's easy to forget. It's easy to forget.
It's 90 degrees out here, guys. You can see.
Yeah, I know. I'm not blaming. I just decided this time I'm gonna do it. And
you should do it.
Yeah, because I like it. It's definitely Andrew. Who
Andrew.
Far and wide, career-wise, I think there's been a.
But look, he's in the West Wing. He's in the West Wing where the real Aaron Sorkin was living.
In his dreams, exactly.
Right.
That's what I mean. If that's the way the West Wing really was, God help it. No, that's a crazy show. Waller on Friday and talking about inflation and the latest inflation numbers that we've seen, Kevin. We don't know. We're thinking that there's going to be an effect from the tariffs that's still coming at some point, which the Fed is using as the reason, for being wary about inflation and maybe, I think Waller said he thought the neutral rate was 3%. If the neutral rate really was 3%, we're too high. And I'm just wondering, how would you characterize this economic environment that we're in right now? Is there a slowdown in growth coming? Is inflation are we going to see a couple of hot prints when the tariffs finally filter through to these numbers? Or are you with the president? We could go down 100 basis points easily.
Waller and the president are right. If you look at the inflation numbers right now, we've got the lowest inflation by any measure. Forget about core this or services that. Everything's the lowest measure we've seen in over 4 years. I think the growth is at a sweet spot. It's about to really lift off once we pass the big, beautiful bill, but lift off with supply-side stimulus, which is deflationary. And so I think there's no reason at all for the Fed not to cut rates right now. And I would guess that if they see one more month of data, they're going to really have to concede that they've got the rate way too high, as President Trump and as Waller have implied.
I did not know that White House National Economic Council director, there's a West Wing. Kevin has his own wing.
I know he does.
You showed me 10 days ago, and I was in shock when they have like an intercom to talk to. It's amazing. Has it always been like that, or did it expand when you got in there, Hassett?
No, it's been the same space since Larry Summers and Larry Kudlow and everybody were there. Larry Lindsay had the same office I have. Yeah.
All those Larrys.
All those Larrys.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's right, 3 of them.
Yeah, my name's not Larry. It causes some confusion.
Exactly. Like Aaron and Andrew.
There we go. Yep.
It's 90 degrees. We do have to cut
out there.
We do have to
by the way, it's hotter here.
And he's in a suit.
And he's in a suit.
That's right.
Yeah. Don't take that jacket off later.
Don't mix me up with that other Joe, that other morning Joe either.
Oh yeah, that would be awful.